Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Guys, I have tried to film this video about a good 4 times. I've literally sat on camera and filmed it 2 times. I've sat here with my mic and tried to film it 2 times. I pray this one works out. But today we are talking about the amazing show called Love Like the Galaxy. Okay guys, this is another Chinese period family drama centered around Xiaoshang and her many suitors on her adventures to, as a young woman into marriage and whatnot. And I would like to say that this show is beautifully shot. I really love the cinematography of this show. It has beautiful shots. The sound, the background music is really good. It really helps to enhance the scenes and whatnot. The background music is good. It really helps to enhance the scenes and whatnot. And I really, really just like the story of Ming Lan, this show really made me care about the side characters. Now I'm gonna try and not get into too much spoiler territory since this show is relatively still new. It came out, I think it ended maybe the beginning of September. It came out in 2 parts. It's 57 episodes long. And honestly, let's get into the parts and what I think about each part. Part 1, I did not really care about it. I definitely, hey, this is my confession. I hope that was Usher and not R. Kelly. Sorry. Part 1 for me, I definitely sped through it. I'm not gonna lie to you. For me, part 1 I understand what they were doing with part 1. Of course, you guys set up everybody, their backstories and all that, but I feel like they kind of focused on it too long. Because for me, it was just kind of like, we get it. It kind of showed her how childish Xiaoshang was, because, the main character, her parents went off to war and left her with her aunt and her grandmother. However, they neglected her, so she did not have really any proper manners, and she was very much so a trickster. She loves to pull pranks on people, which I'm not gonna lie, they were hilarious. They were very entertaining, I'm not gonna lie. But I mean, we could have wrapped up in 3-4 episodes. One of the things I kind of wish they did differently with the show is the pacing of the show. I feel like they spent too much time on kind of Xiaoshang before, and not that of course she should have her time before getting wrapped up in the main love, but I don't know. I feel like her time spent with the second lead guy was a little too long. With the second lead guy was a little too long. Even though their stories were they were important and they were interesting. I just feel like it didn't need to be that long. Really, her engagement with the main guy Li Buyi, I feel like that was too long of an arc. I feel like part 1 should have been, her going through all that and them getting together, and part 2 being, them trying to figure out how to be a happy, loving couple. Because in the end, okay, here's my gripe, right? Because part 2 was amazing. I love part 2. It was so climactic. There was so much tension. I loved it, and it just kind of feels like it was kind of a letdown towards the end as well. I feel like it was kind of rushed. I wanted to see them after you see a character overcome these big conflicts, you want to see them be happy together, get married. We didn't even get a wedding scene, you know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of my thing. I feel like we could have got more of the marriage, of them being together as a happy couple. We could have got more of that if they kind of cut out some of those, kind of shortened some of those plot lines, maybe taking a couple of them out. All of them weren't really that necessary. They were entertaining, don't get me wrong, and the show has this nice level of comedy, especially in the beginning parts, that kind of helps kind of helps cut the tension of the later parts. Like there's the Emperor, he's a character that kind of cuts the tension with his humor. The father kind of cuts the tension with his humor. Speaking of the parents, let's get on Xiaoxing's mother. Xiaoxing's mother, of course, went off to war with her husband and whatnot, so she's an accomplished soldier. However, so that means she's a strict parent, but however, she takes it too far in an almost unreasonable level. The mother, and this is kind of what made part one like kind of just not as enjoyable as it kind of could be for me, because it was just like she's so horrible to the daughter. Like, she's literally, without spoiling a lot, she's really just kind of like just unnecessarily mean and strict, and she even shows favoritism towards the cousin blatantly in front of her own daughter. Like, what kind of for no reason. You know, it would be different if, like, I don't know, even if they give us a reason, like, I don't know, because here's my thing. If I've been away from my daughter, you know, I had to do my duty, and now I'm back with my daughter, and I understand that she's been neglected, I'm gonna slowly try and nurture her. She didn't even have the patience for that. Like, girl, you have to be you have to be patient with your child. And it's just like she wouldn't even try to understand who Xiaoxing was as a person. And then by the time she finally got that she was wrong, it was kind of too late. And it's just like, even the resolution was kind of lackluster, because like she didn't really earn that back. I don't know, but I don't want it to seem, you know, I'm ranting because I like the show a lot and I feel like it has a lot of potential. It just didn't use all of its potential, because don't get me wrong, I love the show, especially like I can't really get into it too much because it's still a freshly new show. If this show was like 2 years old, I probably could get into all the details and stuff, because I really do love part 2. Like, part 2 is definitely what I would rewatch. I love part 2. I would just not watch the ending. I just not watch the last 30 minutes of the show. That's all. I mean, the last 30 minutes of the last episode, because other than that, the show's impeccable. But the beginning part's kind of you know, it's a show. The beginning part did its job, you know, like it clocked in. It did its job. It didn't go above and beyond or anything. Part 2, for me, went above and beyond, did overtime, got the holiday bonus, all of that. So, for me, that was kind of the difference. My favorite side characters, I really love the Emperor and his consorts. I love their dynamic. I wish we could have, I wish we could have got more, because we got a lot. I could really relate to the Emperor, because even the ending at the end of the episode, the last episode, what he said about, like, when he found out that they didn't get married, they got married off in some country, off in some city. What he said is how I felt to a T. So like, when you watch it, just know that's how I felt, because it's like, huh? Like, why didn't we get a wedding? I want a wedding. After you've taken me through the trenches of my emotions, at least you could do is give me a wedding. Literally, I like this show. Part 2 really takes you through the pits, and for me, it takes you, like, it does really good with the stakes and whatnot. And you know, and even the acting got better. By part 2, the acting was exactly where I wanted it to be. Now, part 1, I was like, if part 1 kept going how it was going, I wouldn't have really liked it. I probably would not have made a video on it. But part 2 is really great. I feel like the actors, part of me even wish that part 1 was a little more serious too, because like the actors seemed to be kind of more in their element when they were acting the more heavier scenes, the more intense scenes. Like, I really enjoyed that. I was like, oh, okay, y'all, 10, 10, 10s. I love it. I like to see it, you know? So that was one thing. I really, like, again, I love the side characters. They're hilarious. My favorite ones are the Emperor, again, his consorts. I love the dad. Her best friend, one of her best friends, she's hilarious. I love her as well. She was a good actress throughout for me, as well. I feel like she did a really good job. But yeah, for me, Love Like a Galaxy is a really good show to watch, especially like if you're new, if you're kind of newer to Chinese dramas. It gives you a little bit of, literally, Love Like a Galaxy is part one and part two encapsulates the type of historical dramas that you can come by, in Chinese drama land. You got the part one's the more like comedy, more light, levity, romance, and then in part two you have the more dramatic romance. The more, the more political scheming becomes unwrapping. Oh, and that's another thing, the political scheming and stuff, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, the little twists and stuff and finding out how and who did what to during those like the warring times and who's responsible for stuff. It was amazing. And then there's another huge twist with one of the characters, which, I mean, you could kind of see it coming once the main character kind of sees it coming, but it really, like, when they showed the scene of like unveiling the twist, that was a really great scene. That scene made me cry. It really did. Dang, I really want to talk about it, but I'll just say that the show did a really good job building up to the main characters' love romance and also their own journeys, because they both went on different journeys without each other, and it kind of helped them come back together in a way. And I really enjoyed that. I really was rooting for them. Because at first, in the beginning of the show, I was not really caring about the relationship. I don't know why. I just kind of felt like I think it was mainly on the main actors, that the guy on his part. I felt like his facial expressions were too stiff. It was just like I couldn't get into like really thinking, oh, that they like each other and that they love each other, and like me for like to root for them. But after everything that happened in part two, I'm telling you, I was like, wow, like I literally almost threw my laptop when I realized that they didn't have a wedding. Are you kidding me? I was. They did a great job, especially bringing them back together. It was a great job. It was a really great ride, So that's why it's like, even though the show has its pitfalls, every show is not 100% perfect, but I really like this show and I would recommend it. I would give it 7.5 out of 10, just because the ending for me was kind of lackluster, and also the part one was a little lackluster. Not as lackluster as the ending, but it was I would definitely skip through a lot of the episodes in part one. I'm not gonna lie to you. But part two is really what saved this show for me. Part two they really put in work, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, these are my thoughts on the show called Love Like a Galaxy. If you guys please like, comment, subscribe. Again, I really did this 4 times over. So please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if there's any shows I should watch. Any shows you would like me to talk about. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.